Germany in her invasion of Poland, Great Britain has declared war upon her, and that as a result, Australia is also at war.
You shout aloud.
My great-grandfather never wanted to share his story, so as he is no longer with us today, I'm going to share it for him, in his memory and in the memory of all the men and women who died in World War II between the period of 1939 and 1946. My great-grandfather William Edward Kennedy fought at Kokoda for Australia. If it wasn't for his courage and the kind acts of the Fuzzy Wuzzy Angels, I may not be here today to tell his story. Let's go back to the beginning. My great-grandfather was born on the 10th of July 1921 in Mascot, Sydney. He was the second child and only son to Elizabeth and William, who migrated in the early 1900s from Scotland. Growing up in Neutral Bay, he was the apple of his mother's eye, and nobody could predict the future awaiting him. In 1940, the enemy declared war on England, and as a loyal member of the British Commonwealth, Australia supported England, meaning Australia too went to war. It was seen as the Australians' duty to help in any way they could. People in Australia were opposed to German expansion, but they were also very closely tied to Britain. When the British government declared war, Prime Minister Menzies announced that Australia was also at war. Great-grandfather then enlisted and became part of the 2nd 6th Division. He was sent to training for war immediately. The men in his division were mostly from Victoria and New South Wales, who travelled to Athens Tablelands in Queensland before being deployed for Papua New Guinea. While at war, Australia was outnumbered, disease was immense, and years of fighting played a toll, with great-grandfather eventually contracting malaria. One of the few things he told his firstborn daughter, my granny, was the story of how, in first-hand combat, he was bayoneted through the hand. However, he had no choice but to keep fighting, as sadly it was kill or be killed. The Kokoda track where he fought has been described as a rugged jungle where soldiers following a narrow path lived. Young Australians and Japanese soldiers fought hard in extreme conditions. In 1942, along a narrow track over these rugged mountains of Papua New Guinea, 625 Australians were killed and over 1,000 wounded. This image shows the Imita Ridge in 1942, known as the Golden Staircase on the Kokoda track. Each step was battened at its edge by a rough log, which was broken and often slippery with a coating of mud. When climbing these stairs, soldiers had to lift their leg over the log and put their foot down on the step behind in what often was a puddle of mud and water up to 6 inches deep. Back home in Australia, his mother Elizabeth was sent a letter confirming her worst fears. She read that William Kennedy was presumed dead as he was missing in action. However, all was not lost, as I'm still here to tell this story. Let's continue. While he had disappeared, he had also been spotted by some often unseen heroes of World War II, the Fuzzy Wuzzy Angels, which were the natives of Papua New Guinea. Finding him on his deathbed, wounded and alone, they saved his life. After his rescue by these unknown angels, great-grandfather would return home to his family, with the utter surprise that he was indeed very much alive. Nobody could ever imagine the horrors he had seen and the trauma that would forever impact him. After settling back home in Australia, he met and married Maybelle Robinson in January 1946. They had 3 daughters. The oldest was Jeanette, who was my granny,